must be the F-19. But ladies and gentlemen, I'm here to say that there was something called the F-19, and I want to illustrate to you just the lineage of how we got to where we are now regarding the F-117. The DARPA Project Harvey was started in '77 under the Carter administration. It's important to note that the most stealthy configuration that Ben Rich could come up with was a completely circular flying saucer configuration. There was definitely some stability problems with that, so they went to the next most stealthy configuration, which turns out to be a diamond. Basically a cut diamond that they call the hopeless diamond. That moved on to the intermediate configuration, where we have two canted vertical stabilizers with the crew compartment here, and then that led on to the near half-blue configuration, which moved to the F-117. Now here we have an actual, very well done illustration of the F-19. This is a 1986 Learjet pilot report. This particular Learjet pilot was flying at about 10,000 feet altitude. He just broke out of a series of clouds, and he noticed to his lower left-hand position, and just in front of him, a very unusual designed aircraft that looked like a flattened football diamond-shaped craft, very dark, almost completely black. There were control surfaces along the leading and trailing edge of the aircraft. It had a very unique dorsal and ventral tail fin arrangement, almost like the B-17, but with a mirror image tail on the lower section of the aircraft. There was a NACA air intake on both sides of the pilot's compartment that terminated in a trapezoidal exhaust port on the trailing edge of the aircraft. There was an X-15 splitter canopy up front. Now, it dawned on this pilot that he could have ran into this aircraft in the clouds, and so he called ATC, which was Nellis Air Force Base at the time, and asked them, why didn't you advise me of the traffic in my vicinity? So ATC came back on the radio and said, what traffic? We're not painting anything. And this pilot came back and said, well, the heck there isn't. I'm looking at a black flattened football diamond-shaped aircraft with a tail on top, a tail on the bottom. In fact, I can see the pilot's helmet. He was just ahead. He could see this pilot's helmet. There was a pause on the radio. A deeper voice, a different voice came on the radio and said, pilot of such and such Learjet, you will land at Nellis Air Force Base, and when you land at Nellis Air Force Base, you will taxi to the end of the tarmac, and when you taxi to the end of the tarmac, do not depart your aircraft, we will meet you. And for the next 18 hours, he was debriefed about an aircraft he never saw. But that was an actual pilot sighting of the F-19. Here is the original sketch layout configuration of what this aircraft actually looked like prior to going to paint. Now, we don't know if this was a one-off prototype design. We don't know if there was an armaments, but if it did have armaments, it might have been a rotary bomb bay similar to what's used on the B-1B that was resurrected under the Reagan administration. The A-12 here, which turned out to be the SR-71, and then the F-100 Sentinel in this location. Again, you'll see the same 75-degree swept wing configuration on that side also. Now, I'm showing this to just illustrate what the Air Force likes to do and how they like to joke around with the public. U.S. Air Force insignia, Wright-Patterson Air Force Base Air Material Command. And if you look at this logo, you'll see a number of different stealth aircraft embedded in this logo. There's 5 B-2s here on the circumference. There's one F-117 that falls right in here, and then there's that same 75-degree triangular configuration embedded in here. So they're telling us right here in their own logo that there are not 2, but 3 classified programs currently ongoing. 2 of them have been declassified. The last one is still a classified aircraft. Skunk Works, the evidence stacks up to a near certainty that a revolutionary step has been made in aircraft design. That's exactly what Ben Rich talked about. Skunk Works migrates north to the desert. April 9th, 1990, the Skunk Works becomes its own entity. This is the shot of Burbank facility. They moved on to Palmdale Air Force Plant 42. And if you go there, that's what you will see today. This is the exterior building of the Skunk Works. You're not going to see anything secret on the outside. You will see this southwestern bay door, which is absolutely gigantic. That's a little pickup to